Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Craig. Very much appreciate you guys tuning in. Apologize for it being pre-recorded this morning, but I've got to head over to the California State Capitol, where I'm going to be testifying before the Assembly Public Safety Committee. There are two bills that are up today. You guys, if you want to tune in, just go to, well, right here on Facebook. If you're watching this on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, you got to go to Facebook, Firearms Policy, or it's facebook.com/gun policy. Sometime after 9 o'clock, after the committee starts, whenever the two bills that I'm going to be testifying on come up, that's when it'll come up. So one of them is by Assemblyman Vopel. He is a Republican. It's AB 1872. This is a bill that would give harbor police the ability to purchase firearms that are on the not unsafe handgun roster, further complicating the not unsafe handgun roster, and really kind of once again elevating another group of law enforcement over law-abiding citizens, giving them special rights to purchase firearms that are safe and in common use, but that us everyday citizens here in the state of California are not allowed to purchase. So we're going to be opposing that bill. There's also a bill that will by Assemblywoman Gonzalez Fletcher, AB 1903, which is going to prohibit the giving away of gift cards to anybody who sells firearms or ammunition, prohibit the giving away of those at gun buyback programs, which is kind of interesting. This is really just to target Walmart is really her goal. Anyway, some of these ideas are just so idiotic. But then again, I love when they call them common sense. They have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. They don't understand firearms. They don't understand firearms policy. They don't understand the firearms industry. But yet and still, somehow, some way, their ideas are considered to be common sense. It's more like, well, I guess because most people really don't have a lot of that understanding, it's more like common nonsense, at least as far as legislators and the media go. But anyway, so if you want to tune in sometime after 9 o'clock, facebook.com/gun policy, and you'll be able to check out the hearings on those bills as well as my testimony. I also wanted to remind you we have a special membership promotion right now. You guys can enter to win this very cool firearm, this Chris Vector, if you become a member for only $15. Memberships are $15 right now. Dude, folks, we're doing a lot of work now. I'm traveling between here and Washington, D.C. Obviously, that means increased expenses and costs. So help us out. Become a member. Join us in the fight for civil rights. So once again, it's only $15. You get a cool membership packet, and you'll be entered to win this firearm. Thank you so very much. And once again, by the way, you do not have to join to enter, but you do have to enter to win. I'll say it one more time. You do not have to join to enter, but you do have to enter to win. Follow the link, and it'll direct you. If you're not interested in becoming a member, boo. But you can still enter to win the firearm. Okay, moving right along. A lot of folks are wondering, they're seeing all of these spontaneous student protests that are popping up. And they're really like, wow, these kids are really active, and they're really getting engaged, and they're participating in our civic government process. But what's interesting about it is what a lot of people are talking about. Well, let's put it this way. Chris from guns.com is talking about it, and that is the fact that Bloomberg gave $25 million. And he did so by in the form of grants. Now, these grants are basically, he's giving away 500 grants of $500 each, and he's making them available to fund or pay for protests relating to these shootings. So they're funding a group called Students Demand Action, because, well, hey, obviously students who are paid to protest is exactly who we should be listening to when it comes to our public policy. These are the folks that we ought to be listening to. As some would say, the Tide Pod eating generation is, well, now that they've washed their mouths out, are going to direct us as to how we ought to give up our right to keep and bear arms Uh, I find it quite amusing. Now, keep in mind that this is, by the way, now Everytown is a group that actually came from Mayors Against Illegal Guns, right? Group that's supposed to be against illegal guns, except they wanted to ban all guns. They wanted to get rid of all guns, legal or illegal, which was kind of a misnomer at first. But it should have been Mayors Against Illegal Mayors, because one after the other, these mayors kept being charged with crimes, brought up on ethics charges, arrested for things including weapons charges, drugs, sexual molestation, bribery, you name it, they're getting arrested for it. In fact, a great thread to read if you ever just go back into Twitter and pull up hashtag wearing orange. Excuse me. Yeah, we actually took over that thread where every single time an anti-gun politician decided that they were going to, or that they got, every time they got arrested or charged with a crime or ethics violation, we made it a point to point out their hypocrisy. So anyway, folks, wow. Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to say here is another way in which we expose the hypocrisy of the left. Folks, and I know you get tired of the NRA and you know, Gun Owners of America and FPC asking you guys for money. And, you know, I hate asking you guys for money. But here's the deal. We are fighting we're fighting multi-billionaires. Michael Bloomberg can write a $25 million check and not even break a sweat, right? And we're here and we're trying to combat that with, I mean, literally pennies on the dollar compared to what they have, compared to what they are bringing to the table. And so when we ask you, it's not because we're getting rich. It's not because we have a desire to, you know, we're just trying to fleece. It's really because we're fighting guerrilla warfare. And even when you're fighting guerrilla warfare, hey, if you're gonna fight guerrilla warfare, you got to have a few bananas, and bananas ain't free. I'm just saying. So, you know, but realize that this is what we're up against. They're funding children. They're paying for children to protest. And we're sitting here and we're trying to organize, and we're organizing. I mean, if you guys knew, FPC has grown dramatically. I mean, we started off in one state here in California. We're now in Washington, Oregon. We're lobbying in Nevada. We're actually doing actions in many, many other states, working with other organizations. And we're now in Washington, D.C., doing the best that we can to bring you along with us. Because ultimately, we are nothing without you. If you're not supporting us financially, if you're not supporting us by making the phone calls when we ask you to make the phone calls, so sharing the information when we ask you to share the information, well, then we have a real, then we're not being successful. And so, one, we appreciate you, but secondly, it's important that you guys know, look, this is the sort of madness that they're putting their money into. They're funding our children to take away, to speak on taking away our constitutional rights. That's where the money's going. And so, you know, once again, make sure that if your children are participating in any of this madness, well, then make sure that they are summarily put in the right place. I know. None of your kids would do that. I get it. Anyway, all right, folks. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. That's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all that you do, investing in us. And investing time, your talent, and your treasury. And we also appreciate you subscribing to our YouTube channel and liking our Facebook page. This is the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them, or you're going to lose them. You guys take care. Wish me luck today.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.